Welcome to the 40th episode of the Mayor's Mixtape. I'm Haley Sue Robinson, Director of Public Affairs.
City of Pueblo, Mayor Heather Graham.
I'm Andrew Hayes, Director of Public Works.
Yeah, we have a guest on the show today. Thanks for joining us today, Andrew. Before we jump in, I just want to remind the listener that you can find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch this on Channel 17 if you're local to Pueblo. There are lots of opportunities to find this podcast. And don't forget, if you have questions or a topic suggestion, you can email us at mayor@pueblo.us. So, Andrew, we have you here on the podcast today so that we can talk a little bit about development on Pueblo Boulevard. But Mayor, we'll start with you. There's been a lot of discussion this year about development on Pueblo Boulevard, from the most recent discussion that we had about the dog track. And we opened this year the first Whataburger in Pueblo. And so would you say that Pueblo Boulevard is one of your priorities for development in Pueblo?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that it's one of my priorities. I'm just lucky to be in the seat right now while the development is going on. So you've seen a couple new businesses pop up over the last couple of years. Whataburger, Starbucks, Quick Trips, Moving Ground, Circle K, Les Schwab Tires is coming soon. You're seeing all the groundwork over there as well. And recently City Council approved funds to help with the demolition of the dog track. So there's quite a bit of development going on in that small stretch of the boulevard.
So maybe it's more like striking while the iron's
one?
hot.
No, I was going to say that's just the southern end. Too.
Yeah,
and
right.
To be honest, it's the entire corridor. Even up at the north end, there's also development closer over to Highway 50 as well. So Dutch Bros.
Oh, sure.
So it's been a hot corridor.
Well, and then the other side of Pueblo Boulevard, Kaiser, the new Pueblo Springs Apartments. Right. We opened Fire Station 11.
Jail is going to be opening soon.
I mean, Pueblo Boulevard, to your point, Andrew, is a really far stretch of highway, and so there's a lot to cover. But yeah, that south end has been really popular this year, I would say. So, Andrew, I know we've had some folks that have come before City Council or visited us here in the mayor's office about the process for permitting along Pueblo Boulevard. So I thought maybe you could walk us through that process of what it looks like from start to finish.
Sure. So, I mean, development is one of those things that's got to take into consideration all of the aspects of a specific property. So it can be complicated sometimes, but let's just say it's a simple answer where there's a lot ready to build. A developer or builder will go to Pueblo Regional Building Department, soon to be Southern Colorado Building Department, and obtain a building permit, or apply for a building permit, turn in their plans. They work with the building department for the stuff on the site, and they work with other stakeholders like the city for public improvements around that site sometimes. So along Pueblo Boulevard in particular, since we're talking about that, there have been a lot of public improvement requirements there just to make sure that the roadway is able to take the extra traffic that's coming on. There's obviously quite a bit of coordination that goes into that with those stakeholders. So developers are generally, who are in the business, understand that process a little bit, but it can be complicated for somebody watching this development happen. Why doesn't it happen faster? Mm-hmm. Why is it so expensive? All those kinds of things.
Why isn't Starbucks open?
So Starbucks is a good one too.
Asking the important questions.
Yes. Starbucks is an interesting case. A developer there owns the land and has built a building, and Starbucks is going to be leasing that building from them. In this case, the developer is still working on some of the public improvement requirements that are there before the building can get open.
Can you describe what a public improvement is?
Yeah, sure. So public improvements
That's a good question.
That's a good question. Sorry, that is a term that encompasses a lot of things. So it could be roads, it could be utility work, it could be sidewalks, curb gutter, streetlights, traffic signals, all those different kinds of things. Not everywhere needs all of those things. And so again, with a site-specific consideration, along Pueblo Boulevard, particularly there in the vicinity of the Starbucks, a traffic signal is needed. And so that's one of the holding up points here, is getting all of those public improvements installed. It takes time. It takes engineering design, construction contractors.
And who's requiring this specific public improvement
Sure.
that's
So-
holding up Starbucks?
Ultimately, on the state highway, CDOT controls what public improvements are required there, right? And so CDOT has a stake in that process, absolutely. During subdivision, during zoning, those processes, when they happen, they can outline what some of those requirements are. At building permit time, if there are additional requirements that are needed, those come through the city. But we do still work with CDOT, particularly along those state highway corridors, trying to get the improvements coordinated and installed in a timely manner. In the case of Starbucks, obviously the building's up and ready to go. Starbucks is ready to open, so I know that they're itching for what we call a certificate of occupancy. That's the end of the building permit process and allows the business to open.
The CO.
That's
That's
right.
what people talk about is the CO.
That's exactly it. In this case, Starbucks wants their CO obviously to get open so they can start serving some eggnog lattes and coffee and all the things for all of the customers that are going to be coming there.
So you mentioned a little bit about regional building or Southern Colorado Building Department and the city. Who all is involved in the review process here in the city and outside organizations?
Yeah. So, I mean, if a builder goes into Pueblo Regional Building Department or Southern Colorado Building Department soon, they put in a building permit application. There's a routing sheet that gets generated. And depending on the permit type, generally speaking, city departments, so public works, that includes transportation, planning, wastewater, stormwater as well, as well as other external stakeholders like sometimes the health department or state agencies sometimes also have a stake. So sometimes there are a lot of different organizations on the routing sheet that folks have to coordinate with in order to get their developments approved. Again, within the city, that's usually the infrastructure and planning departments specifically. So,
and Mayor, since you took office, that's been one of your priorities is efficiency with the permitting process and essentially ease of doing business with the city. So what does that look like from your perspective, or how have you tried to improve the process?
I would say one thing that we tried to improve. So I was saying that everybody saw this coming, right? So in probably May of this year, when these hurdles started to come up with CDOT and the public improvements that were going to be needed on the boulevard, which we met with the developers, met internally and tried to figure out different ways to expedite the process. And obviously cost is a burden for the developers, for the businesses coming in on the boulevard. And so I took an ordinance to City Council to adjust the criteria for the half-cent sales tax in order to help with public improvements to bring in development. Unfortunately, after several times of taking this to City Council would not pass this. If they would have passed it, we would be in a different situation than we are today. So unfortunately, that didn't go that way. So we're going to be taking this ordinance back to City Council when the new City Council is sworn in, and kind of using this as an example of how we could have expedited development, in this case on the boulevard with public improvements using economic development funds. And hopefully we'll have a different turnout coming.
So with that update to the criteria ordinance, would it solely benefit Starbucks in this situation?
It would have benefited the public, right? Their public improvements that need to go in on the boulevard. So signals for speed,
it's a safety
sidewalks, medians, XL, decel, lanes. All of that needs to be put in by somebody, and it wouldn't necessarily be that the city is taking the burden of all the cost, but we could have used the half-cent sales tax money up front, and we could have entered into development agreements with these specific developers until over a certain amount of time the money is paid back, which is less of a burden on anybody trying to develop in our community.
Okay, so essentially what you're looking for is that incentive up front, but there is a potential repayment plan. So it's not like we just either lose that money or front all that money for the benefit of, say, one business.
It's about time.
Yeah,
about
it's efficiency.
Efficiency and
Okay.
effectiveness of getting all of this done.
Sure.
And we could have done it all at one time. So
Right.
anybody who was going to be putting businesses in on the boulevard, this could have already been taken care of.
And I think that leads us to a couple of the other businesses that will be opening. So we know there's going to be a Les Schwab Tire, potentially a McDonald's, a Quick Trip, a Chipotle, and others. So can you kind of walk us through right now if we don't have any of those, if we don't have the criteria ordinance passed and that public improvement economic development money available, what does the timeline look like for completion for some of those businesses to open?
Yeah, it extends it.
Okay.
One thing that I think any business or developer wants to see is sites that are ready. And what that means is, again, those off-site improvements, those public improvements are done. They don't, an auto parts store coming in to build a site there isn't in the business of building roads. They want to build their store and get open.
Sure.
And so to the extent that the city can help facilitate getting these public improvements installed early, it's a boon to everybody, because not only do we now have new stores to shop at, the city does generate additional sales tax revenue, which helps our budget situation. And it also puts in these improvements that serve multiple properties. It makes traffic safety better for everybody who uses that area.
Sure.
And, half of our city drives on Pueblo Boulevard every single day, probably. And so these are safety improvements that ultimately make the quality of life better and safer for our citizens. So it's important. Having these resources available to help this process is an incredibly important tool that we have, and we're very lucky in Pueblo to have that. It just needs to be reshaped a little bit to allow for these additional types of projects.
Sure.
It's not I think citizens think about this as, these are Pedco dollars or something else.
Sure.
It's not. It's the public's money.
It's what
And
we voted on for the half-cent sales tax.
That's
for
correct.
economic development.
Yeah.
And people believe that it's there for economic development. I think everybody in general kind of thinks about economic development meaning all of this stuff, business growth.
Right.
We've traditionally had a very narrow look at what that means on creating primary jobs, and that's an important piece of any economic development strategy.
Absolutely.
But going forward, there has to be some kind of other consideration for these other types of improvements as well.
I think another thing that seems a little bit difficult or maybe frustrating for folks to understand is, we hear this is a CDOT issue, but if we really break it down, it's a safety issue.
Right.
And so these are requirements that we ultimately want. While it might be frustrating in the process, the reason these requirements are in place is we recently had a safety traffic study that we brought forward with some key intersections with, deaths or accidents. And those are things that we want to avoid in the future. And so the reason those public improvements are required is so that we can bring down the numbers and make sure everyone's safe, whether that's folks crossing a sidewalk or Mayor, you mentioned medians and just like slowing down traffic. Those things are important. And so while it's really frustrating and we say, oh man, these requirements are ridiculous or whatever, they're really for safety and our security.
They benefit everybody.
When you look at the map and you see where Starbucks is located, people getting their coffee early in the morning, the sun is crazy.
Yeah.
Coming that way when the sun is shining in your eyes and you're coming out of getting a coffee trying to make a left onto Pueblo Boulevard. It's going to be very dangerous if there's no way to slow down traffic to get back on the interstate. That's what we're talking about.
Okay. So you're planning to bring back the criteria ordinance with new council. And then are there other anticipated business development or other plans that we'll see in this area in the near future?
There are a couple. So I don't even know if you're aware or not, but there's a auto parts store that has approached that's about double their normal size footprint. So if that comes to pass, that'd be a new one there near, kind of near that Les Schwab Starbucks corridor area.
Okay.
There's still several other pad sites that are developing there, and then trying to work on infrastructure requirements to make sure that the south side of Pueblo Boulevard also sees some of that same development. That's a more challenging side just because of wastewater issues particularly, but it's also going to need some roadways and some other things in there. So the city's working with urban renewal to try to come up with a plan to get the infrastructure in place to make that more viable commercial development.
Okay.
Up on the north end also, there's near the jail that was built there, there's some property on fronting Pueblo Boulevard that is commercial. So likely that property owner will probably be trying to develop that as well. So you'll see across that whole area, all the way from I-25 on the south end, all the way to Highway 50 on the north end. There's going to be a lot of new stuff coming. And
we have a new Maverick as well up kind of by Kaiser.
That's right off of Spalding.
How soon will that one be open?
I don't know that they've given a date for their opening yet, but it
just looks like the progress is
nearing completion.
Yeah. And then we'll see the jail completed soon. And I know I was talking with some firefighters maybe 2 weeks ago, and they're really anxious to have Pueblo Boulevard open for Station 11 and their access there. And Chief Huber just said, talking with the sheriff's office, with Pueblo West, it's really going to help with mutual aid and emergency response there. So those are exciting things to think about as well.
Absolutely. That is a corridor that is not only a thoroughfare for lots and lots of traffic, but that traffic also makes it attractive for business development as well. So having people there, being able to hop right off the road and get easy access into a business, it's important. So that's why that corridor is such a hot topic right now.
Great. Well, we also had a town hall last week with soon-to-be Southern Colorado Building Department. So if folks missed that town hall, it is available on our Facebook. We also have it on our YouTube. So for folks who are developers or just general folks in Pueblo who are maybe confused or wondering about the process and next steps, they can check that out as well. There were a lot of good questions answered. I think they had some good frequently asked questions that they'll help folks understand as we move forward, but we're excited about that as well.
Yeah. Seamless transition.
Absolutely.
For people that don't know, right? I mean, it's going to be a lot of the same kind of process that we've had.
Sure.
So people in the city pulling building permits head straight over to Southern Colorado Building Department. January 1st, that'll be their new name, but it'll be the same folks, same processes. If your licenses need to be renewed, contractors get in there and get it done. But that's it should feel seamless to them as they're pulling new building permits to keep development going here in the city.
And they're going to launch a new website as well, and that'll be easier to navigate. Right. So I think that's exciting too. Anything else we need to know about development in the city of Pueblo and things on the horizon?
I don't know. Just excited to.
Yeah.
I mean, we're on the cusp of a lot of new things coming into town, so this is an exciting moment.
It really is. I think for a lot of Puebloans to see this amount of growth in truly what is a short period of time. I know we talked earlier about how it might seem slow. This is, kind of exponential growth for our community at this point, and seeing big businesses come in, see local businesses thrive, new housing developments. Those are all really exciting things for Pueblo and for our community.
100%.
I'm glad you agree. Okay. Well, our listener might not see this. This is for our YouTube watcher, but there are gifts surrounding the two of you right now. And you might be wondering, did we just stage this? Sort of. But actually, this is from our angel tree with the gifts for La Gente. And so we just decided to lean into the holiday spirit and said, why don't we just have a little Christmas show on the podcast today? So these will be going out to children soon, and we're excited about that. A couple other upcoming things. The last council meeting of the year on Monday, December 22nd. And then the city is closed on Christmas Day and the day after. And then we still have lots of work to do before the end of the year. So, but those are some upcoming things, and just want to make sure that folks are tuned in to what's going on in the city. Anything else you guys want to add?
Lots going on.
Yeah. Andrew, thanks for joining us on the podcast this morning.
Thank you.
Just want to remind our listener that you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Buzzsprout, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Also, thank you for 40 episodes. That's very exciting. And don't forget, you can email us, mayor@pueblo.us, and we will see you soon.
Merry Christmas.
Not yet.
Coming.